My name is Tori Bennett, and I've never been someone who looks for trouble. I play by the rules, double check locks, and read reviews before visiting new places. I've lived in Cincinnati, Ohio, all my life, and for the most part, it's been a quiet, predictable existence. That's why what happened that night in a narrow downtown alley wasn't just unexpected. It was the first time I'd ever felt the kind of adrenaline that makes your heart race and your instincts sharpen. And no, it wasn't what you're probably thinking. This is the story of how I faced fear, made a split-second decision, and discovered that bravery doesn't always wear a cape. Sometimes it just shows up when you least expect it. It was a rainy Thursday in October. I was on my way home from my shift at the local bookstore where I worked part-time while finishing my degree in sociology. I had stayed late, helping my manager restock a new shipment of indie mystery novels. By the time I left, most of downtown had gone quiet. Just the occasional car passing by, streetlights reflecting in puddles, and the steady hum of rain. I parked in the same structure I always did, a block and a half from the store. Normally, I stayed on the main streets, but that night, I made a decision I'd never made before, to cut through the alley. It would save me 5 minutes and keep me from being completely soaked by the time I got to the car. The alley looked typical: brick walls, dumpsters, an old light flickering above a side door. It smelled like wet concrete and fading exhaust. I was halfway through when I heard something. At first, I thought it was a cat, a soft cry. Then it came again. A voice, faint, shaky. "Help!" I stopped, looked around. The sound came from behind a row of trash bins stacked against the left wall. My heart started pounding. Every movie and true crime podcast screamed at me to turn around. But something about the voice, weak, urgent, human, held me in place. "Hello?" I called out. No reply. Then, "I can't move." I approached slowly, phone in one hand, flashlight on. And then I saw him. A man, maybe in his early 40s, sitting against the wall, cradling his side. His coat was torn. He was shivering. "I didn't see them coming," he muttered. "Tried to fight back. They ran." I crouched beside him, keeping a safe distance. "You were mugged." He nodded, wincing. "Took my wallet, my phone, everything." I called 911. My voice was shaking as I gave our location, explained the situation, and asked for an ambulance. Then I turned to him. "Help is coming. Just hang in there." He looked up at me and whispered, "Thank you." The paramedics arrived within minutes. They took over, asking questions, stabilizing him, loading him into the ambulance. A police officer stayed behind to take my statement. "You did the right thing," she said. "I almost didn't," I admitted. "I was scared." She nodded. "That's how you know it mattered." The man's name was Anthony Russell. Turns out he was a local history professor at a nearby college. He'd been walking home after a guest lecture at the public library when two teenagers cornered him. He didn't blame them. He said that later in a thank you letter, but it was clear the experience had rattled him deeply. The letter arrived a week later, delivered to the bookstore. Inside was a note. "Tori, you didn't just call for help. You stayed. You saw a stranger and chose compassion over fear. That kind of bravery changes people." He also included a copy of his book on local historical landmarks. I didn't feel like a hero. Still don't. But what happened in that alley? It was the first time I realized that doing the right thing isn't always about being fearless. It's about moving forward anyway. Since that night, I've volunteered with a local community safety initiative. I teach workshops about situational awareness and how to safely respond in emergencies. And every time someone asks why, I tell them, because one night I chose to stop and help. And it reminded me that even small acts of courage can change someone's story.